Yoga, melting heart. Sometimes referred to as Anahatasana. I hope I've pronounced that right. This gives a nice compression of the upper back. For me, the main reason I usually use this is for shoulders. As you sink the heart down, melting heart, you're allowing the heart to melt towards the mat. Stretches deeply into the shoulders. It's a very similar stretch a lot of swimmers use for increase their shoulder mobility, in particular subscapularis. Almost all the rotator cuffs in this position are being stretched, including the long head of the tricep around that shoulder area. A stretch of the latissimus dorsi as well. It's one of those soothing and relaxing poses. But for me, again, the main reason I use it is to increase and aid with shoulder mobility. Opens the shoulders, softens the heart. Getting into the pose. So, on your hands and knees, 4-point kneelings, tabletop, quadruped, whatever you want to call it. So the hands underneath the shoulders, shoulder width apart, knees underneath the hips. Walk the hands forwards, allowing the chest to drop towards the floor. Keeping, and this is the biggest technique thing, is keeping the hips over the knees. Now for me personally, when I initially move into this pose, I can't manage to get my head on the floor. I'm waiting for my shoulders, those external rotator cuff muscles, and the long head of the triceps, waiting for them to give. I used to have a block or some sort of support for the forehead initially. Once I've been in the pose for a couple of minutes, I usually find the tissues have eased enough to allow my head to sink further down, to allow the heart to melt further down. So you keep your hips above the knees, try and keep the hands shoulder width apart, and we're melting the heart down. Now some people will keep the back flat, some people will allow the lower back to arch, or basically to put the spine in extension when they're down. I've got a preference for the spine in extension. Try to keep the arms as straight as you can. That adds more challenge on shoulder mobility. Again, from a technique, it's more about keeping those hips over the knees. From a caution point of view, just caution that you don't take that stretch too far. As with all the positions, you just go to a mild stretch. This is one where people can get carried away. To intensify the stretch, you can bring the hands in an Anjala Mudra position, in a prayer position above the head. Now you can intensify that stretch even more. I don't actually want Tanja to do this unless you want to demonstrate to Tanja. That's putting the elbows on a block. So you're lifting the elbows even higher. This puts a greater amount of stretch on all of those rotator cuffs, including the long head of the tricep, subscapularis, and the latissimus dorsi muscles. It intensifies that stretch a lot more. And that's melting heart.